Hello, Julie.
Hello, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Yes, I was just making sure I had my background the right way round. I had it mirrored yesterday by accident.
It's okay. It looks good. My name is Nir, and I will be the one of the IT support guys for this session.
Lovely. Thank you.
We'll wait for the others to connect, and we'll do a quick briefing. I see on my list that you are going to share some slides.
That's right, yes. Do you want me?
I would like to do a quick share screen test with you. Yes.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. So if I test it now?
Yes, please.
And does that read out? Does that look okay to you?
It's coming on. We see that we get a message that you are sharing your screen, but we don't see anything.
Oh, it says I am screen share. Oh, now you can see it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now we can see it.
Shall I flick through the slides to make sure that they are working?
Yeah.
There are very few animations in there, so nothing tricky. Oh, this is the only one with just pictures coming up. That's it.
Okay, and you have 3 questions for voting.
Yeah, I wanted to drop one of them, but I asked very late on, and I was told just to keep it as it is. But I'm worried about time. Do you? Have we got?
You can skip. You can skip if you like to skip one of the questions. Just say, okay, I'm going to skip this one and go.
Great.
For the next
okay,
one.
I would like to skip the middle one. So question 10. I will skip that. And just because we have 10 minutes per person, is that right? 10 minutes per speaker. Yeah. So, and how long have you been advising people to keep for Slido for the question to be on the screen?
I think I'll keep it for about 40 seconds.
Okay.
We have a slight delay between this Zoom platform and the attendees platform. So the delay is about 10 seconds. It means that once you get to your slide with the question, the attendees will see it 10 seconds later. So I will launch the poll for the attendees as I see it on the platform. And just keep in mind that if I keep it 40 seconds, it means that you have to wait 50 seconds because of this 10 seconds delay. And
okay.
you'll see when I launch the question, I'm going to share my screen here. Let me show you. So
I'll stop sharing.
So it will stop your share, and then the attendees will see my Slido screen, which is this one. And then once we'll get the results, I'll leave it for a few seconds for you to talk about the results of the poll, and then I'll stop my share. And you'll have to go back to your share.
I have to go back to share screen again. Yeah. Okay. There's no way that you can just, I suppose, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll just do it again like that. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Okay. Zoltan, hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. We were just, I was asking for advice about how long we were leaving each of the slides up with the Slido question on. And we were just being advised to allow 50 seconds because of there's a time delay of 10 seconds. So I am cutting one question out, but we'll just skip over it in the presentation. I just feel that squeezing 3 in with a minute per slide, essentially, I think will actually just eat into all the material I want to talk about. So.
Okay, I stopped your share, Julie.
What I was planning to do with my questions, so while we're waiting for the answers to come in, I thought I'd ask one of you guys every time I have a question.
Ask and then we reply, and well, everybody else put something. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Just
you can.
So I don't really want to. I don't really want to talk for 10 minutes. What I thought that I do, I just open the pitch up and then we can have a discussion.
Okay, it's kind of a discussion during the poll, during the vote, as I understand. Okay, so Mireia is here.
Hi.
Hello, Maria and Mireia, Zoltan and Robert. My name is Nir, and I'm the IT support for this session. We're still missing, I think, Harry.
No, Harry is there. He will turn the video in a few minutes.
Okay.
We don't want to know why. Maria, you didn't tell me what you want me to say about you, so I'm gonna freestyle.
Okay.
So, Mireia, you're gonna be welcoming everybody, and then I have a presentation with the pictures that you want me to show. Is it right?
Yeah. So what I will do is that I have a little script. So I'll say, welcome to this TV session. I introduce myself and I say that Robert is helping me co-chair this session. And then I would say, this is not a surprise for anyone that the world has changed greatly over the past year. And then you throw the little images, and I'll just say, well, while the images go, I'll just say we had to adapt to keep our education going to the new situation. It's just a second. And then I start introducing everyone. I introduce everybody in a row, the four of them. And then I launch the 3 questions to get to know the public.
Yeah, you have three questions.
Correct. They'll just go one after the other. And as without further delay, Zoltan, is your turn, and then Zoltan starts, and they just go straight one after the other.
Okay. Harry, can you start your video, please? Okay. Thank you. From now on, please stay with your cameras on. Please do not turn off your cameras. You can mute or unmute yourselves, but we need you to stay with your camera on. Thank you. So next after Mireia will be Zoltan. Zoltan, you're gonna share one slide?
No, it's a picture actually.
A picture? Can you, let's do a quick share screen test.
I thought you'd have it, but I can find it.
Let me make sure.
All right. There you go. Can you see it?
Yeah, so you're gonna share, you're gonna show this picture.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a poster, no? Something like that.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, a poster format. Very good. And then you're gonna have 3 questions, number 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Just when you're asking the questions, please say, okay, now I'm going to ask question number 4 and read it, and I will launch it to the attendees. So they'll see the question. I can show you, let's say, number 4. Number 4 is this one. And then I will show it to the attendees. Yes. Can you see the question?
Yeah.
All right. So that's the way you see it, and the attendees as well. Well, they see it on their platform. It's a bit different, but they'll see it on the main screen. They'll see this slide.
The Slido code will hopefully be visible then. The Slido code and or a QR code is not visible. So how will the participants enter the answer? You know,
they have on their platform a system
okay.
that will show them the question.
Probably it's integrated somehow in
the it's
Congress platform.
Into the platform. I'm gonna paste now into the Zoom chat a link to the Slido system, and please have it open on your browser, and that's where you'll see the questions. That's your channel to communicate with the attendees. So questions will appear there. Also, the voting will pop up over there, but you don't need to bother with the voting. The Q&A will be more relevant for you.
For the background, do you want the Espnic TV one that Robert and I have, or the Espnic others that the rest has? Because this is meant to be Espnic TV, is it?
Sorry,
I think Julian and I were educated about the background last time, and what we have, this is the Espnic TV background. What you have is the Espnic Congress background.
Okay, swapping then.
Does everyone have it? Do you want me to send
Maria
over to you?
No, I couldn't change the background. I tried with the technicians, they tried to help me, but I don't know if my computer doesn't support it or something. I couldn't do it.
It's a computer. Yeah, it's a computer. Some of the computers cannot.
Yes, they were in my computer and everything, but they couldn't fix it.
Okay. Maria, we need you to go a bit backwards from the computer in order to get your image equal to the others. Even if you can a bit more.
More further?
Yes, please.
Like that?
Bye.
All right. And Harry,
can you see the door?
No, we see your background perfectly. Harry, can you get a bit closer to your computer, to the camera? A bit more, please, Harry.
Not better?
We need you a bit more closer.
Oh my God, okay. I'm literally on the laptop. Okay.
So maybe it's your video settings. If you go to your, do you know how to get to the video settings?
Yeah.
And if you choose original ratio, is it marked?
Yeah, I'll choose it now.
Can I just ask a question about the Slido? So whilst obviously I can go into the link to respond to other people's questions, but when it's my own question that's been posed, I don't really want to start going in and out. So how will I be able to track responses? Will they, well, so the question will be up on the...
Do you mean for the voting, for the poll?
Yeah, so when I...
You'll see it on your Zoom screen. Okay. I'm going to share the screen that shows the bars that run with the results.
The other thing is because it's Espnic TV, we can interact a bit, can we? If you can't see it, somebody can say, we're meant to be in the same room.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, that's helpful. I'm just mindful, you know, when you're in slideshow mode and I haven't got two screens, I haven't got anything fancy, I can only see my screen, and that's what I'm worried about, is not being able to track other things.
We will tell you otherwise, don't worry.
Yeah, please do. Actually, we had a conversation before you joined, Maria, actually, about how long to allow for the Slido questions. I don't know if that's helpful for anyone else. And Nia was telling us that there's a 10-second delay between the posting of the question and it appearing. So I'd asked how long we should allow per Slido question. He said around 40 minutes, but because of the time delay, probably 50 seconds even. So I have cut one question out because that is almost 3 minutes otherwise out of the 10-minute slot. So yes,
but you can keep on talking. They have the slide on the right hand side to answer. They still see you and see your presentation.
Yeah, he stopped screen share, so my slides are no longer up. I can carry on talking because I can talk about the other stuff, but I have.
You change the screen share.
Yeah,
okay.
so you stop screen sharing, and then I have to re-screen share again.
Okay, okay.
I think what we could do is we ask the question, and Mireia and Robert kind of summarize the result of the polls.
Yeah.
That'd be great if you could do that. Thank you. And I can carry on talking anyway, but yeah, I was just mindful that you've got to stop screen sharing and then restart it again. But I'm not sure who else that applies to. I'm not sure who else is sharing slides. Maria, are you sharing slides?
Yes,
and Harry.
I am. Yes.
Maria, I would like to do a quick share screen test with you, with your slides, and then we go to Harry. Zoltan, can you go backwards a bit from your camera?
Yes. Can you see the screen?
There you go.
We see your screen. Can you go into the full mode?
Yes.
Presentation mode. Yeah. Okay. Maria, just remember not to lean towards your computer.
Thank you.
And Harry, please share your screen with us for a quick test. Very good. So Maria, I see that you have 2 questions, and Julie
number
will
7 and 8.
8. Julie will be number 9, 10, and 11, and we're going to skip 10.
Yeah.
And Harry, you have 2 questions, 12 and 13. All right. If your questions are during your presentation, I will, when I show my screen, it will stop your share. So once we are done with the question, please reshare again your screen with the current slide that you were on.
So if you guys have a minute, I just scheduled a post on Twitter about our little experiment. So if you have just 1 minute on your phone, just please share it, comment on it, so we can have some audience here.
I'm on it.
Is this? Oh, sorry, Zoltan. And the Twitter, is this the Twitter message that you posted earlier?
No, it's
no. This came out just 1 minute ago as a scheduled post.
Oh, okay.
You know what?
I can't find you. I can't find it.
It's here in the chat.
Oh, I can't access Twitter on my laptop. It's an NHS one. Okay.
Then if you go to my profile, it will be.
Oh, yeah, found it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you just want us to retweet and?
Whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I think that helps with the how's it called, how Twitter ranks posts. If it gets impressions in the first few minutes, then it will go out on others' walls. Thanks.
I'm having a fight with my second screen.
Robert, are you planning to share your screen? I didn't ask you.
No, just moderating and keeping track of the questions.
Okay. Julie, we need you to go backwards from the computer. Yeah, and Zoltan, can you adjust your camera a bit lower? Because
Is it any better?
Yes, yes. The our video director said yes.
Okay.
And Limor she's our producer.
Yeah, I could hear her voice in the background.
DJing is DJ Limor.
And can I just check? So we've got 10
So
minutes.
now, oh, sorry. No, I just want to see now you don't only hear my voice, but you see me. Everything is going well? Great. Thanks. Enjoy the session.
Thank you. Gonna put the timer in big screen.
Let me just let you know we have 10 minutes and 50 seconds for going live. I will put into the Zoom chat a message, please start. That will be the cue for you to welcome everybody and start the session. I guess, Mireia, you're going to be welcoming everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so if you can have your chat open.
Yeah.
And basically the chat is active for you guys, so you can communicate through the chat between yourselves and with me.
When you screen share, the chat isn't visible, is it?
When you can, let's share, can you share your screen? Let's do a,
yeah.
You can see it. Okay, now you're showing your screen and the Zoom bar will be probably on the top of your screen. If it's hidden, you just move your mouse.
I can't see I can't see the chat at all. I can see all the participants, but not the chat facility.
Do you see the Zoom buttons?
Only, oh yes, at the top, if I hover on them, yeah.
Yeah, if you hover on it and then you go to more. If you don't see the chat, you go to more and you see the chat over there.
It will bring up chat as a box. So could you see my chat at the moment? I've just clicked on it. Can people see that on the screen?
No, they don't. It's transparent for the when you share the screen.
Okay.
So only you can see it.
Okay. Great, thank you. That's helpful to know. I wasn't sure what people could see. I was just thinking if we were talking privately and you share your screen and then that chat is visible, that's not so good. Okay.
That's no private.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll stop sharing. Yeah.
Robert, please don't turn off your camera. During the whole session, please stay with your camera on. We control what the attendees see, so if you left for some reason, they won't see you on the screen, so don't worry. Okay.
Mireia, just to check, if we go hideously over time, will you try and rein it in?
Okay, yeah, I'm putting some times in my little script.
Perfect.
So
I'll set my own time as well, just to keep an eye on it.
But
all the other sessions are easy to moderate because everything's pre-recorded, but with this, I was thinking there's potential to.
Yeah, the problem are going to be the questions because we don't know how long are they going to take to appear and people answer, and it's difficult to stay in the 10 minutes time because of that. Not for the presentation itself, but for the questions, I think.
We need to plan for the unlikely event that there are only very few answers on the Slido. I think we keep the chin up and move on, and that's okay.
Yeah. Yes, I think it's difficult to gauge the level of interaction to expect, and because we don't also know how many people are logged in, do we? I found that yesterday with the masterclass for nursing. I didn't know how many people were out there.
I'm logging into it as a participant, so I can guarantee one participant, I'll turn the audio off on
That's
that
cheating.
I just need to make sure that's not going to cause an echo.
Very tricky questions.
Robert, do you have some way to add a light in front of you?
Yeah, a lot of light.
Thank you.
Better?
Yeah. Now it's better.
It's our working room, and the room is full of glass, and the sun is directly on it. So it's, I think, 27, 28 degrees. So not the best place to be.
I'm nearly 40 here today.
Oh.
It's like 36 or 37. I'm boiling with the windows closed. I'm gonna jump straight to the pool when we finish.
Oh,
That's just
nice.
smug, Maria. I've got the kids paddling pool in the garden. I could get that out, I guess.
I mean, I think that's very, that's probably enough.
Just don't jump with your computer into the water.
Yeah.
I thought about putting it by the side so I can follow the next talk.
It's sunny here in the UK as well, Maria. Bristol is very sunny still at the moment.
I know, I was meant to be going.
Yes, I saw that. Yes. Were you meant to be coming back?
I was meant to at least come back for a few things. It's just that obviously the Amber situation is making my life really difficult.
Yeah. Well, let us know when you do make it back over.
Will. Right.
Zoltan?
Yeah.
Did you turn off your camera?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just drinking.
This is a yellow card, the first yellow card. If we want to be actual for what is happening in Europe.
What happens if I get my red card?
You'll be cut off. So we are down to 2 minutes for going live. I'm going to turn off my video. So we have the 6 of you on the screen.
Just giving the kids the last warning to be quiet.
Propofol. I've already told you that.
Never worked in my house.
We have to intubate them live on television.
Let's put the NLMA on for a bit and it's fine.
Yeah.
You can save the rock. Fine, I think I have the slider in the other computer now.
Okay, guys, we are 1 minute for going live. Please stay silent from now and pay attention to the chat when for me texting, please start the session. Good luck for everyone.
Hello, welcome everybody to this interactive session called New Technology in Medical Education. This is one of the Espnic TV sessions, and I am really happy to be chairing. I'm Mireia Garcia. I'm really happy to be chairing this session with my colleague Robert Blokpel from the Netherlands. It is not a surprise for anyone that the world has changed greatly over the past year. We had to modify our educational platforms at the speed of light to be able to continue with education. This was definitely a challenge. We had to update ourselves in a lot of technology that we were not using. Universities were empty. We had to continue training our staff, our future colleagues, and update ourselves. So a bit about this innovation is what we're going to talk today. So with even greater pleasure that I introduce you a lot of my colleagues that happen to be the speakers of this session. In order of appearance, we will have first Zoltan Georgi. He is a Hungarian consultant now working in the UK. He is our chair of our trainee representative in Espnic, and he has developed the social media group. He will be talking a bit about how to navigate social media. He will have a bit of a game with us as we go along and tell us how to unravel all this information, what to get from it. After him, we will have Maria Miñambres. She is also a pediatric intensivist based in Spain. She has an interest in education and ventilation, and she will be talking a bit about how to create an educational video and how to make the most of it. The third one is my good friend, Julie Menzies. She is doctor in nursing. She's a clinical academic in the UK and chair of the nursing practice group of Espnic. She will talk a bit about the challenges. She's probably the most skeptical of us all. The challenges that online education posed on all of us, trainees and faculty. And last but not least, Hari Krishnan, also a consultant pediatric intensivist based in the UK. He has been contributing to keep us all up to date with the PQ Journal Watch and the PIC Hub app, and he will help us know how to develop this content, how to make it worth and make it better. So first of all, we want to know a bit about you. We have 3 questions, so you need to be quick with Slido. You'll have it in your right hand side in the polls section. We want to know which staff group do you consider yourself in, and if you click quickly, we can continue. Fantastic. Oh, no doctors. That's interesting. Ah, here they are. Great. Lovely. And the second question is, how many years have you been practicing in intensive care? You can think, so you can click on it quickly, just to have an idea of how long have you been teaching and practicing without the burden or the help of electronic systems. Wonderful. So yeah, we have a bit of everything. That's fantastic. And then the last question before I give the turn to Zoltan is whether if you're in charge of delivering education regularly. We want to know, where are you? So we can tailor a bit what we're saying. And that's what we expected. That's great. And if you haven't, obviously you will find some tricks and tips of how to do that. There is a chat. Both myself and Robert will be looking after this chat and writing all the questions. Questions and answers will be at the end of the presentations. So without further delay, Zoltan, your turn. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Mireia, and welcome everyone for this very exciting session. So let's start with our little experiment. I'd like to invite all our participants with Twitter accounts to post anything using the Espnic 2021 hashtag in the next hour. We would like to show how much attention we're getting and how many interactions happen and in this next hour within our online community. And of course, at the end of the hour, we're going to show you the results. So let's move on to social media a bit. What I recognized recently that social media had become sort of a hub for all sorts of educational materials. And it's definitely true for me that when I want to get my online learning, I go for social media. I have a list which I curated quite mindfully. I have sort of a very broad spectrum, but a very strong filter. And that's where I do my online learning. And I think this is true for the whole medical community, that the social media has become a place where we post all sorts of educational materials. And it's very strong, in particular, in the emergency medicine and critical care fields. And for me, it actually makes completely sense that we want to disseminate the information, the education to people. So we go on social media. So my first question for the audience, and please give your vote. So in the virtual world, how do you prefer to learn? Is it webinars, congresses, video recordings of podcasts, blogs, online FOMED resources, email newsletter, or RSS apps? And I can see the slider on the screen. So please start voting. And before we move on, I'd like to ask my fellow panelists, where do you do your online learning?
Everywhere.
Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter is a big one, but also some wonderful apps that I mentioned earlier. I think I'm getting a lot from them.
I think there are differences though, aren't there? I think a lot of nurses like to go to conferences and to have information provided for them by leading experts in it. Although I think that's what's changed over the last year. But I think Twitter is, you're right, Zoltan, a really good way of being signposted to some really important information.
Yeah, I actually moved to Twitter from an RSS reader, and now I keep the RSS for leisure purposes only, and I have Twitter for my professional learning. And yeah, anywhere you fetch your podcast, I think it's a good thing to have a few apps, because what I recognized recently, that if I choose my learning based on sort of a mindset or a mood that I'm in, I have a place to go, and I don't have to go to a sort of unfiltered mix of everything and then just try digging in and find something that's useful. All right, so I guess we'll come back to the results of these questions. But what I could see just briefly, that congresses and webinars or were sort of the most commonly voted item. And the other phenomenon that I wanted to talk about, that the pandemic, I think, accelerated sharing educational materials, and actually a lot of people, a lot of units, a lot of organizations opened up teaching sessions for a very broad audience, maybe even worldwide. So my next question to the audience: if you create an educational material, do you share it on social media on top of the original form it was intended for? And there's a lot of good examples from Twitter that I'm going to show after we finished our voting. And on the list there is the Birmingham study days. I think everyone who's on Twitter knows about the study days. I wonder, Harry, if you can allude to how this decision was made to go online and share your study days with the worldwide audience.
I think we're generally pro dissemination of information, and pro dissemination of information to anyone that is not able to access it easily. And one of my colleagues, Zaf, is particularly wanting to share the resources with low and middle income countries. And we found that actually the pandemic gave a great opportunity to do that. He had widespread support, and I think we just went ahead and did it. And it was successful, and success promotes a repetition of the success.
Yeah, absolutely. It is also a sort of a mindset to share everything, to sort of go for that extra mile and share with the audience. So I'm just going to share something quickly here, and it's a table of examples that I chose. Of very good examples, what kind of educational materials can be shared. So we have the Birmingham Study Days. We have a chap called Nick Mark, who makes amazing infographics. And for POCUS enthusiasts, there are a lot of resources. NephroPOCUS is a good example. And there are things about education itself. And a very good resource is Tess Davis, and don't forget the bubbles. And there are some oldies but goodies, as you could say, the Core Ultrasound, the Internet Book of Critical Care, and the new kid on the block is the zentensivist.com, which I think all are very good resources and examples that it's worth sharing educational materials in the online space. And now, moving towards my third question. So I wonder what you guys think, that if we create any sort of educational material, infographic, tutorial, TikTok, anything, would you put these on your CV? Would you list these on your CV? This is my next question to the audience as well. So if you create online educational materials, do you think they are CV worthy? Julie, how do you feel about this?
So I actually recently updated my CV, Zoltan, with this very thing, actually, because the nursing section contributed to a number of webinars and educational resources during COVID that were shared widely. So actually, I have added those to my CV. And they're probably, to some extent, probably got wider readership than perhaps some published articles, because they're topical, they're through a reputable source, and they can be shared freely. So I think you're right, it's a great thing to have on your CV and a great way to make information available.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point. And you know, I think social media metrics are also becoming very important in the academia world. So if you have publications out there, publishers will monitor how many people opened your article and things like that. So it is another factor that we can keep an eye on. So how much attention we get with our articles on social media. And I'd like to thank you for getting in the conversation with me. And for the audience, please don't forget to share anything with the Espnic 2021 hashtag in this next hour, because hopefully what we want to share you is the impact of this online community, and this is happening on Twitter. Thank you very much. Back to Mireia.
That was wonderful, Zoltan. That's fine. I think this was a really good introduction to our topic. Please don't forget to tweet while you listen. I'm trying, but I'm multitasking. I'm failing dramatically. So next to speak is Maria, talking us a bit about the videos. Let's go.
Okay. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Mireia, for the introduction, and thank you also to the Espnic Society for allowing me to be here. Let's talk a little bit about how to create an educational video. That's the points the presentation it's gonna go through. Before that, I must say that I have nothing to disclose. And all this situation with the pandemic, we were really overwhelmed with so much information we received through many places, and many times through non-conventional educational tools like webinars or videos that we were not very used to. And now let's try to learn a little bit more how to make a proper video. So first, if I could have my question number 7, please. The question for the audience is, do you enjoy learning new topics from educational videos? Yes, I like to organize my learning time. Yes, but I much rather have face-to-face education, or not at all. I want to go back to face-to-face education as soon as possible. Okay, we'll see that in a while. Okay. People are still voting. Oh, that's funny. I like to organize my learning time. We like to learn from our sofa and not so much going back to face-to-face education. That's interesting. If I could have my screen back. Okay. So what are the advantages about educational videos? Visual learning, it's really powerful, it's memorable, it's comprehensive. You can stop the video and replay it as many times as you want, or you can come in advance to the video again. And of course, you can reach so many people as a teacher with those kind of videos. But they also have a dark side, especially because you require some equipment and some technical skills that sometimes we are not used to. And if they are not perfect, you need to edit them. And in my opinion, they cannot substitute a small group learning. So they can promote a little bit of individualism. And if you have not much experience, perhaps you don't feel very comfortable with that kind of video. So now let's see a short video about what are the things you should not make when preparing an educational video.
Can you repeat the sharing the screen, Maria? We don't seem to see it.
You see the screen?
Just share it again. We don't seem to be seeing your video.
Sure. Can you see it now? Okay.
And the sound. Can you share it?
I'm very sorry.
The beauties of online teaching.
What's the problem? The audio?
Maria, when you share your screen, please share it and click share sound.
Okay, there you go.
Lighting is important. If people cannot see you, they are not going to pay attention to you. Remember to have a good quality audio, and whenever possible, try not to wear your mask because the audio will get better like this. Another tip when preparing your video, especially if you're recording at your workplace, try to keep the doors closed always.
We don't seem to be hearing you now, Maria. This is real life showing how difficult.
Yes, it is.
Sometimes
I'm
the
very
videos can be.
sorry. I'm very sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Key points for our educational video. You can train students with very different levels, from beginners to really advanced. And you can use them prior to face-to-face classes so that the students can have more information before the course, or they can be part of a course. And if you like social media, and I guess here there's a bunch of people who really love that, your videos can be included in channels like YouTube or in Twitter or whenever you want. So before preparing your video, don't forget to introduce yourself, say who you are, where you work, and try to make a script and rehearse prior to the recording. Try to focus just in one topic. You try to cover more topics, the videos are gonna get too long, and then they should be really short, like 5 or 10 minutes length, to keep the audience attention. And you should get to know your audience in advance, and especially know the level of the audience, so you can adjust your video to the audience. Whenever possible, you should try to use captions and subtitles, especially if you have very different students. If you have non-native English speakers or people with special needs, they are gonna really like that. There are two kinds of videos you can use. The most frequent one, you usually have a PowerPoint presentation. Here you can see some screenshots. You should try to use as many graphics as you can in your presentation, and try to use simple screens so that people can get your attention at what you are saying. And before recording it, try to work on a previous presentation, animate it whenever you think it's gonna be needed. If you need a pointer, you should activate the option before, and always check for the sound source, because otherwise things can happen, like we have just seen today, recording MP4 and edit the video appropriately before using it. The other kind of videos that can be used are the one that when you look at the camera. Here we can see 3 great actors, everyone with their proper kind of how they work. And probably that's the videos we don't like that much doing, because if you're not used to the camera, you don't feel comfortable with it. So when preparing those videos, You should record them in high definition MP4 format. If you are using a cell phone, which is fine, try to use it horizontally, and use a tripod whenever possible to avoid the screen shaking. You should stay in front of the camera, try not to move too much, and try to keep the camera at the eye level. Use a neutral background, and don't wear clothes that can attract people's attention to it, so they can stay focused on you. If you have a door, keep it closed, and try not to record close to a window, because you're gonna get shadows and the lighting could not be the best. Try to keep a good sound and not to have background noise, and always keep a conversational and enthusiastic tone whenever possible. Let's see if you can spot the differences between the other video and this one. I hope you can hear it. Let's see.
Hi everybody. In this final part of the video, we're gonna see the differences between a good and a bad video, and all the considerations you should have made before start recording it. So remember to prepare in advance a good camera and a good recording set, proper and neutral clothes, a proper background which make the audience pay attention to what you are saying and what they are seeing, and something that is really important, good sound and good lighting. If you take into account all those tips, you could get a successful video. Thank you very much.
So just to finish, to make a really good educational video, work hard in advance, have a good presentation, be careful with the technical issues and the design of the presentation, so as to try to get experience and feel confidence when you are making the video. Thank you very much. And I'm very sorry for the problems with the audio.
Thank you very much, Maria. And you know, we all struggle with sound. I guess that's something we've all faced. Mute buttons and sound. It's been a challenge. So now we go with my skeptical friend, Julie Menzies, and her take on the challenges of online education. Let's go, Julie.
Yes, I think that's quite well timed, actually. So number one, I'm just going to check, can everyone see my slides? That's always a good starting point. So yes, when I was asked to join this panel, I think I was slightly surprised, perhaps because I'm perhaps not the most vocal supporter of online and digital education. And I think I can show why in a later slide, it's my age. But I think what I really wanted to do, my contribution to this panel, is to perhaps acknowledge some of these challenges that we face with digital education provision. And then perhaps look at the opportunities that this affords us and how we move forward. And I wanted to really consider this from the undergraduate perspective right through to our postgraduate workforce and how we can continue to develop them. So I think obviously, as we are all aware, there were huge complications in the university setting. Decisions had to be made about going everything online. And for our healthcare professional students, this obviously created huge issues about their quality of their experience. A number of the workforce in the sort of later years of their training ended up being, especially in the UK, mobilised to kind of contribute to the efforts towards COVID. So there's been big impact on education for them. So I've actually looked at the categories of digital education, and these 5 categories have been developed by the Quality Assurance Agency for higher education institutions in the UK, and I found this quite a useful framework to look at what it is we mean by the different levels. And certainly passive education, I think even pre-pandemic, there wasn't really very much of this within healthcare professional training, because it's all on site with no digital component at all. And when we talk about supportive digital experiences, we're talking about learning and training opportunities that are primarily on site with support material available digitally. That's often optional. Augmented sort of refers to digital aspects are a core part of the student's experience, and they're intended to enhance the on-site provision. So they're actually kind of almost equal parts to it. And certainly I think when I speak to friends who are lecturers within the university setting, this is really how they felt the pre-pandemic situation was. But then what's obviously started to emerge is obviously more interactive modes. So where teaching on-site may be available, but the real emphasis is actually on the digital teaching, and then fully immersive teaching, which is where actually everything is exclusively digital. And I think that post-pandemic, during the pandemic, they moved much more to interactive and immersive approaches. But the question for us now is to think about how we move forward and what is the optimum model for education provision. So that leads to our first question on Slido, which is, do you feel that COVID has had a negative impact on the quality of teaching and education our undergraduate students have received? And I've classified these in 4 categories. Do you need me to stop sharing so that you can see the Slido? Thank you. Okay. So that's interesting, actually, from that people feel it's had a small impact, actually, because I'm going to kind of reflect on what some of the challenges have been. And I think we're obviously starting to see some publications and some shared information about students' perspectives on it. I think that's probably more where I expected it to be. I think we all know it's had a big impact. Excuse me. So I'll just go back to sharing my screen again. Oh. Could I just reshare my screen, please?
Just reshare.
It won't let me. It says it can't. Oh, thank you. That's great. So actually interesting perspectives on that. Now I can't move my slides forward. You see, this is why I'm skeptical. You see, Maria, there's a reason for this.
Fair enough, fair enough. I'll buy it. Just de-share and reshare.
Yeah, I'll reshare. I'm sorry about that.
Hattie will have a hard time convincing us at the end.
Well, you know, I like to think I've done a good job of putting everybody off here. So, okay, so the challenges from the undergraduate's perspective, and I'm going to acknowledge actually 2 of our clinical educators in PICU in Birmingham who will really help me to kind of shape together these slides. And both of them have had extreme challenges from the undergraduates and then moving into supporting our new staff. And actually from the students' perspective, there's been minimum face-to-face teaching in the university setting, huge issues about digital, even though we think that they're a skilled group with digital skills, actually university lecturers have told me there were still some issues about skills and accessing. I think we've seen that even amongst our panel here. And I think also there were some issues about digital poverty, that the quality of Wi-Fi, access to laptops and computers, issues about skills, teaching and assessment. I mean, all simulation, all aspects like that all had to stop because of issues about social distancing. And even now it's being brought in, but on a very scaled back situation. You need very large rooms to be able to do it, good cleaning equipment. It's adding implications for the training and time that's required. Placements, I mean, we saw the knock-on effect right through from first-year students who couldn't go clinical, second-year students who had a knock-back effect on their placements, and then right through to our third years who obviously were then pulled into clinical practice. And I think also as well, it's been especially challenging for any students with additional learning needs, and also how they access support from online tutors. The educator perspective is also interesting. A lot of the university lecturers are still on the register as registered nurses, and they actually experienced a lot of professional conflict about what to do during the pandemic. Some of the universities supported them to come back to clinical practice to support colleagues on the front line. Others obviously focused particularly on continuing education in the university setting, recognising that we need those healthcare professionals for the future to help our workforce. So I think there was a lot of tensions and guilt and a lot of very rapid adjustment to these new ways of working. It is not, a lot of them would acknowledge that moving material that you would deliver on PowerPoint just into an online forum is not sufficient to meet everybody's learning needs, but that was what they needed to do. They found it difficult to identify students who were struggling. and also how to address lack of student engagement. Is the student with their screen off there because she's actually Googling other material and using Twitter and all these other accessible means to look for additional material, or are they sat there actually really struggling to understand what's going on? And I think university lecturers were not in a position to support that well. And also the issue about individual needs being challenging. I'm going to skip over this Slido question actually and move on to our postgraduate workforce. So within the Espnic nursing section, we've done a piece of work surveying Europe and all the countries, as many countries as we could, to identify training for new registered nurses that when they start in PICU. And I think one of the things that we've found was that most countries offer some form of induction period, education period, and a period where they don't count, students don't, new staff don't count in the numbers, and they receive mentorship. Now, obviously, anyone who's started on PICU in the last year and a half has had huge knock-on effects on what that meant for them and what that training and clinical support could look like. The clinical educators themselves have been in huge demand to upskill people who'd left ITU or to upskill people who were redeployed to our area. So actually they haven't also had the same resource and capability to support that workforce. And again, student expectations and needs are very challenging. You know, our newly qualified registered nurses on PICU, they have a certain expectation of what their training will look like, and that all changed very dramatically. I think, you know, we've all had to adapt. So I think my next question I wanted to pose was, do you feel that your unit has used technology and new ways of delivering education well? With looking at, yes, definitely, yes, some benefits, no, not at all, and unsure. Well, that's really encouraging that people feel on the whole, it seems to have had a big impact. Still some unsure. Yeah, I think that when we're already working in an environment and we're already and we're all trained and educated, that perhaps we've not been the people accessing some of the resources. I think it's perhaps our more junior workforce that perhaps needed some of that. And certainly that's obviously one of the areas that Espnic has tried to contribute to as a society. Okay. Can I move on to my next slide, please? I'll screen share again. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's not going to work again. Excellent. I'll just go back a second again. Just 1 second. And now it won't stop sharing. Thank you.
We need it a bit. That's completely pre-prepared. We're just making it challenging for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mariah. So looking at our ongoing professional development, I think one of the big issues that we've faced has been the mandatory training backlog. You know, all our workforce, we need to address this for safety and our hospital indemnity, but actually there's been a big backlog that we're now trying to address. And that means that professional development opportunities have been really reduced over the last 18 months. And I think the overstretched clinical educators are quite often the people who facilitate postgraduate education. And again, we've seen they're overstretched. But I think this is also an interesting perspective, and this is what I was referring to earlier about generational differences and professional preferences in teaching approaches. And I think these slides help to demonstrate this. This was a piece of work that was conducted in a local university in Birmingham, and actually Birmingham Children's Hospital featured within this. We were part of the research. But this piece of work specifically looked at the workforce education needs of nurses and midwives, and they found that across the NHS, and I think that this actually is transferable elsewhere, there were large generational differences because we had workforce that span a huge age range. There are generational differences in values, expectations, and motivations, which need to be considered when you're planning education and engagement. So, and I don't want to, they use these categories. And I think that this is changing and evolving, but at the time, the baby boomers they referred to, who made up 25% of the NHS workforce, so this was back in 2015, and they weren't necessarily on board with technology, and certainly digital education was not something they particularly embraced. The Generation X group, which I am in, so I think this probably explains some of my approaches. This made up 40% of the NHS workforce. They regarded them as techno-literate, but they don't live and breathe it. And I think that's definitely where I would put myself. Generation Y are millennials. They describe these as being 35% of the NHS workforce. And they actually do embrace technology, but they can have high expectations and they need the tools to be able to do it. And it's really only the Generation Zs that they referred to as being digital natives. But actually, at the time of this research, they made up less than 5% of our workforce. So they were the only group that would really totally embrace digital education. The next generation, Generation Alpha, will obviously be even more proficient. So I think, Zoltan, they're going to be big fans of all your approaches. But I think the implications of this are that over 60% of our workforce are not of generations that thrive on the use of technology in education, and particularly when it's rapidly evolving. So I think the issues for educators in providing this is that they've really got to take this into account. Now, there are some opportunities. COVID has meant that we have embraced online and blended learning. We are all more competent with it now, contrary to what this presentation has appeared with my technology skills. But this obviously suits our Generation Z digital natives, but also the other generations have adapted and they are more engaged with it than previously. And actually, even this morning, I had a conversation with our educators who said there are people who have transferred their attitudes towards it, but you are still getting the diehards who would love to be just back doing face-to-face education. That's what they would prefer. But I think it does mean that we can now look at more augmented and interactive models moving forward. We don't need to go back to the supportive model. We can stay. We want to move away from the immersive, but somewhere in between where we can offer more flexibility with education through asynchronous and synchronous learning. I think that's really the way forward for us. Interdisciplinary learning, I think, is really important. I think one of the best aspects of the pandemic has been that we've all worked together and learned from each other. And from a nursing perspective, our knowledge and expertise has been recognised. And there's been some great examples also of staff redeployed into ICUs, sharing their knowledge and expertise. So, for example, people with tissue viability experience who've then shared that within ICUs. So I think we need to recognise what we can learn from each other. And I think that needs to continue. It's also the opportunity to evaluate all of this. The educators I've spoken to have said, we think that blended learning is the way forward. We are really pleased with some of the things that have worked, but we need to develop the evidence based on it and we need to be evaluating it. And I think that's the key thing now, is to look at how it evaluates and make sure that we capture the wide variety of student experiences. But I think for me, the overall message from all of the past 18 months is actually that we have learned the value of educators, that technology is only a means to provide the education, but the quality of teaching stems from good educators using that technology in the first place. And we really got to value them and nurture them and keep them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Julie. We're slightly overrunning, but we will catch up. Obviously, technical issues pay the price. Harry, the stage is yours. Tell us how to fix all that.
Thank you, everybody. I don't think I can convince skeptics about that the new technology in medical education is here to stay. But I doubt that there are very many skeptics here in this group, because people attending this sort of session implies that they are interested in this, they want to further it, and they want to learn how to deliver it better. And as Julie and others mentioned, yes, I mean, there are huge amounts of technological difficulties. This is an example of Zoom bingo wall, and you saw some practical illustrations of it right here in this presentation even. But actually, it is possible to deliver a good training teaching session very well that is equivalent to or superior to in-person learning. And there is absolutely no doubt about it. That said, I don't think we should see new technology in medical education or digital technology education as replacing face-to-face contact or interaction, but we should see how we can make digital education complement the face-to-face interaction once the restrictions are over and there is more face-to-face contact that is available. I do not think that this is going to go away. I think that we're going to see, as everybody else has alluded to, some sort of hybrid model, which isn't here just yet, but I think we need to be working on it, and we need to be aware of this Zoom bingo wall, test out every individual glitch that can happen, and really take the investment and Zoltan used DFTB as an example, and I want to see, and I put the slide up in response to some of the technological challenges that were happening and in response to what Julie was posing while she was talking. So it is possible to improvise on the fly, even in scenarios like this, in the matter of few seconds, like how you would do in person, except that you can provide a visual additional evidence for it while you're doing it with, if you know how to use digital technology very well and effectively. Look at the amount of investment that is required. Look at the amount of preparation that would mean that this can be delivered, engineered. This is like shooting a movie. And I think that is a level of seriousness that online educators need to approach this, and not take digital education lightly or see it as on the fly and, you know, turn up 2 minutes ago and then let me just talk about something and go away. That isn't going to work with digital education. I think that is a challenge that people who are content creators, content developers, and people who share it in a webinar, podcast, whatever, preparation is the key. If you prepare adequately, you've got the investment and the support that you need with technology, then you can deliver a high-tech digital transformation of your medical education. Zoltan alluded to the Birmingham Children's Hospital educational program as an example, and I think it is the wish, the endeavor to make education accessible to all. Then the digital technology gives you the scope for it. The possibilities are endless, and it is dependent on how you embrace it, how much you are invested in it, and how much of backing you've got. But the needs are different. What people want is different, and what the content developers are different. You know, you may be in a university and you need to look at it in a different mindset. You may be a free open access medical education content creator like myself. I'm very much involved with PICU Journal Watch and PicHub app and so on. And my focus is to make continuing professional development more accessible by bringing pediatric intensive care literature more accessible, and ease of ability to have a discussion and a dialogue about a paper worldwide instantaneously. And that is my passion, and that is sort of what I'm trying to do. So my needs will be different. If you are a freelancer, you're providing a content for another person who hosts a content, your needs are different. If you're arranging a study day, that is different. For people that are arranging the Espnic conference, their needs are different. What I'm suggesting is that there is no one solution that fits all. Zoom or Teams or one platform isn't the solution to all the maladies. There is a different solution to every single problem that you have. And I think as a content creator, as a content developer, as an educator, I think you need to really understand what the problems are and then think through the solutions. You will need, inevitably, whatever you are thinking about, you will need some form of diversity of content. It may be in one of the forms that I have put in this slide. You will also need different forms of diversity of delivery. You know, you would need audio platforms, you would need video platforms, you would need it to be in a Moodle, CME, quiz type platforms that people can just work away without any noise or audio. You would need to make something appealing by putting in appropriate graphics, as Maria said. You would need written information as you know, without the graphics to complement the graphics. You could do it as blogs, but various modes of delivery are essential, and various mediums of dissemination is essential. And we all said Twitter, and Zoltan is obviously pro Twitter. I'm pro Twitter because I do quite a lot of learning on Twitter, but that isn't the only platform. You know, Instagram is huge, Spotify is huge, and we need to really think through what is a platform to reach the intended audience, the intended audience being the key, not the familiarity of the content creator. The younger generation, and I think, you know, I was looking at Maria's tweet this morning and say whether I can join Young Espnic, and I'm afraid to say maybe I can't say that anymore about myself. Need to go to those.
That is not true.
Yeah. And thank you, but I think that the point is, nevertheless, is to embrace the new platforms and not stick to the platforms that you are familiar with. And I think then it opens up a huge amount of horizons and possibilities. I mentioned, keeping up with literature and continuing professional development and medical education in the form of evidence-based medicine is my passion. And I want to pose a question that is similar to what Zoltan posed, but with a slant on how do you keep up with literature? Can we have the Slido question for this, please? And Slido is now on your screen. You can see it. What do you primarily use to keep up to date with literature? Do you use just one? Do you use many? But if you use many, go to the one that you use the most, please. And I want to see what people say. While people are voting, what do the panelists do? What do Julie, Maria, Zoltan, what do you guys do? How do you keep up with literature? There are more than 1,000 relevant papers that are published every day, regardless of what field interests you.
Actually, I do use Twitter, Harry. I have been converted on Twitter for this very reason. However, I do also do that thing where I send myself loads of articles on emails and then don't read them. But you're right, Twitter is a really good way for me.
Yes,
Definitely, yeah. It definitely has allowed us to see articles that we wouldn't have looked at otherwise. I remember one from like an ENT journal that was posted a few months ago. I would have never read about trackies. I would have never read that article with my usual screening that I used to do before.
Can I have the Slido off, please? I'll show a little bit of, basically, I want to take you through some examples of how I approach it as a content creator for continuing professional education. And one of the things that you may know that we do is the PickHub app. The PickHub app is a free app that is sponsored, thankfully, by PCCS Society. Even if you want free open access medical education, it is not without its costs and investment, and you need some investment to back up what you're trying to do. This is an example of what we thought about when we planned our content creation. So this is the PickHub app, and we plan to do what I'm trying to preach now, which is diversity of content, diversity of information that is available here, and therefore embedded in it. And in PICU Journal Watch, you've got various things that are available. The latest Journal Watch collection, interesting articles for various different groups of people, as well as the article of the month Journal Watch collection and so on. That is also links to podcasts, COVID resources, various educations, and information portal where you can find the phone numbers for various units and so on, or people that have various interests and so on. So multitude of content. And I think I suppose I'm just using this as an example to say that although there are two ways of approaching it, isn't there? There is one way of approaching it is provide diversity of content, and the other way is to say be really good in one thing and therefore make it the go-to place for the one thing. And sometimes what you need is a bit of both. You want to have parts of that, but you want to complement that with a bit of diversity, and ultimately that is sort of what we're trying to do here with the PickHub app. That is an example, and I am not alone in that. And there are other examples. There are other educational platforms, such as, for example, the Open Pediatrics website. For example, you will see that the content is divided into videos, simulators, continuing education platforms, as well as podcasts, and that is not just content creators such as Open Pediatrics. That is now adopted by people that are in journals as well. I think, unfortunately, what I'm trying to share is not coming up. Yeah, it's just come up. So content creation, this is an example as in Open Pediatrics, video simulators, continuing education, and so on. I'm just going to show you an example of JAMA. So JAMA, you have a paper, you're looking at content related to a paper, and instantaneously, even though they are, the focus of JAMA is to make you aware of the paper and to show you the details of the literature that is out there, but it is supplemented by multimedia. It is supplemented by a conference presentation of the speakers. It is supplemented by an infographic. It is supplemented by an audio editorial of the editor's summary, as well as links to an editorial, as well as links to other wholesome content. For example, you'll see the JAMA sepsis website links and so on just below that. So pretty much most content creators have adopted diversification, not just one solution, but to use multitude of solutions to provide wholesome content depending on the needs of the people. I think I'm running out of time and I want to wrap it up. But let me just wrap it up by giving a few more thoughts, please. We've seen these. What attracts people to the content creator? If you are using one particular online digital education resource, this is a Slido question. What attracts you to that? And please try and answer in as few words as possible, if you can. And we'll wrap up with that. I mentioned that I will share a few thoughts about infographics. I don't think I have as much time for infographics. Let's see what people respond to this question. May I ask the panelists, while people are answering this, what attracts you to a digital platform? Why would you use one platform over another, for example?
Yeah, go, Robert.
Yeah, I think how you can access the platform. It should be easy, widely available, and provide a short update for your problem.
I find it very useful if the content directs you, so it's straight to the point, but then directs you to a wider knowledge that you can access if you want to go more in depth. Just easing the pathways for learning. Julie, what do you find as the skeptical?
I was trying to add my contributions to the word cloud actually as well. Yeah, I think I think it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you can only you've got to use material that's available. So I don't really have a clear answer on this actually. Just use what you can.
Okay. I want to pick up on the fact that content and visualization is coming up prominently here. And I know that we want to wrap it up because we've only got a few minutes left. But I want to tell people, look, there is plenty of opportunities available to make graphics better, presentation better, your production value better. That does not need significant additional extra investment, although in some cases you may need to do that. And this is an example of it. See, most people use PowerPoint, okay? And I've put up the PowerPoint here, and I'm just going to wait for it to come up on screen. And if you want to use even things that you use day to day, for example, like PowerPoint, and I do this, there is an infographic theme that is available. Even in a PowerPoint, you click new, and then you click the online templates that are available, and you will start seeing excellent designs. You've got unlimited options that are provided at the touch of a fingertip, just in the platforms that you use, but you may not have explored it better. So I suppose I will leave with the thought of saying, know your platform better. There are, like Zoom, there are so many things, explore advanced settings to maximize the advantages, explore PowerPoint, explore Word. Word has templates, Excel has templates, thousands of them, unlimited amount of templates. All of these now have integrated map graphics. Everything that needed specialized software is now being inbuilt into platforms that are now accessible to you. So use them well. I would leave on that thought. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We don't have a lot of space for questions, but Robert, there were some on the chat where they.
Yeah, there was some questions from the audience. I think this could be a question for everybody. During the face-to-face meetings, you can actually see your equipment, feel your equipment. How can we compensate during an online educational session?
Maria, what do you think?
Yes, well, it's a little bit what we've been saying before. You have to prepare yourself in advance as much as possible. There can be some technical issues like we saw here, but the more you've prepared your presentation, the better it's gonna come out after that. And try not to make things come up in their way. Just be prepared and be aware with all the technical issues, because that's the thing sometimes we cannot control perfectly, and we have to work with that.
Thank you very much. Zoltan, I was wondering, do you have the results of our little game before we close?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Let me share my screen. And